In ancient China, the world was a place that was both mysterious and vibrant. It was a time when man and nature coexisted in harmony and myth and reality were intertwined. During this period, people's lives were closely linked to nature and relied on the laws of heaven and earth. However, the world was not without its share of sudden disasters and challenges, and one of the greatest challenges was the disaster from the sky. In those days, not just one sun rose in the sky, but 10 suns took turns shining on the earth. According to the laws of nature, this should have been a balanced and harmonious existence. However, in an incredible turn of events, all 10 suns rose at the same time, pouring their full heat and light onto the earth without restriction. At first, people were amazed and curious about the simultaneous appearance of the 10 suns, thinking that it would bring unprecedented light and warmth. However, as time passed, they soon realized the seriousness of the situation. The continuous heat made the rivers dry up, the fertile land become cracked, the crops could not survive, the trees in the forest were scorched, and even the most hardy life could not withstand such blazing heat. In the villages, people looked grave, with worry and fear in their eyes. Children no longer played, and livestock became restless because of the lack of water. Everyone was doing their best to maintain life in their own way, but deep down, they knew that if the 10 suns continued to shine so recklessly, the whole world would come to an end. As the earth was plunged into unprecedented despair and almost everyone lost hope in the future, an archer hero from the heavenly realm, Ho-E, decided to intervene in this disaster. Ho-E is not only a master archer in the heavenly realm with extraordinary skills and a heart of righteousness, but also a deity with deep sympathy for the people on earth. He couldn't bear to see the suffering on earth due to the 10 suns, and decided not to be a bystander, but to take action to save the people from their suffering. His arrival is like a ray of sunshine in the frozen world, lighting the fire of hope for people in despair. Knowing that this salvation would be an unprecedented challenge, Ho-E was prepared to pay any price for the lives on earth, even if it meant that he might face punishment in the heavenly realm and even lose the right to return to it. However, for him, peace and happiness on earth were far more important than his own position in the heavenly realm. People began to sing Ho-E's name widely, and their hearts were no longer filled with despair, but with anticipation that this hero of the heavenly realm would lead them out of the desperate situation brought about by the 10 suns. Ho-E decided to search for the legendary divine arrows and immortal bow, a pair of sacred weapons said to possess the power to shoot down the suns in the sky. His journey is full of unknowns and dangers, but Ho-E's determination is unwavering. He first traveled eastward, where it was said that at the end of the east, a god in charge of wind and thunder might know the whereabouts of the divine arrows and the immortal bow. After traveling through rolling hills and deep forests, Ho-E finally found the immortal. The god told him that in order to obtain the arrows and the bow, he must first pass a threefold test: courage, wisdom, and purity of heart. Ho-E accepted this challenge, his heart filled with love for his people and a desire for peace, and this purity of heart helped him pass the final test. The first test was a trial of courage, in which Ho-E was taken to an unknown forest full of danger, where he had to face the beasts of the forest without any weapons. Ho-E proves that he is not only brave but also compassionate, as he not only avoids the beasts, but also saves an injured cub with his wit and courage. The second test is a trial of wisdom, in which the gods present a labyrinth of halls from which Ho-E must find the exit. The labyrinth is unpredictable and full of all kinds of traps. Ho-E relies on observation and thinking, and eventually finds clues hidden in the depths of the labyrinth and successfully finds the exit. After passing the first two tests, the immortal took Ho-E to a clear lake, a test of spiritual purity. The immortal told Ho-E that only those who are truly pure and flawless in heart can see the reflection of the divine arrow and the immortal bow in the lake. Ho-E sat by the lake and closed his eyes to meditate as he contemplated his original purpose, which was to save the living and to bring peace to the world. When he opened his eyes again, the reflection of the divine arrow and the immortal bow was indeed reflected in the lake. The god then guided him to a mysterious boulder in the middle of the lake, only to see the boulder slowly open up, in which the divine arrow and the immortal bow were hidden. Ho-E got the divine arrow and the immortal bow, and he felt a powerful force flow through his body, and he knew he was ready to face that challenge. Thanking the immortals for their guidance and help, Ho-E set off on his return journey, his heart full of confidence and anticipation for the upcoming challenge. With the divine arrow and the immortal bow, Ho-Ye's mindset changed. He was no longer just a traveler seeking a solution, but a hero who had taken on the responsibility of saving the world and the people. He knew that the next challenge would be the toughest battle of his life, but his heart was filled with determination and courage. On the way back, Ho-E thought deeply about how to use the pair of divine weapons. He knew that despite possessing the immortal bow and arrows, it would still be a great challenge to shoot down the 9 suns accurately. To improve his accuracy and power, Ho-E began a rigorous training program. Every day, he would choose different terrains and weather to simulate all possible conditions for shooting down the sun, and from dawn to dusk, his arrows never stopped. Ho-Ye's diligent training soon paid off. His archery became more precise and powerful, and his mastery of the immortal bow and arrow grew increasingly skillful. He was able to hit distant targets in the wind, and even hit targets at night using the faint glow of moonlight. His archery skills had reached unprecedented heights. Finally, the day of the challenge came. Ho-E chose a day when all 10 suns rose at the same time. He stood on an open, high ground, which gave him a good view of all the suns, but also allowed him to stand firmly enough to ensure the accuracy of his archery. The villagers had long been informed of the day's arrival, and many of them gathered a short distance away. Although they could not get close to Ho-E, their hearts were with him, praying for him and hoping for his success. When 10 suns appeared in the sky at the same time as usual, the world was once again enveloped in blazing heat and light. Ho-E took a deep breath and looked up to the sky, determination and firmness in his eyes. He first drew his immortal bow to full strength and aimed at one of the suns, his entire body's strength gathered in his hands and eyes. As Ho-E loosened the bowstring, a ray of light cut through the sky and headed straight for the sun. Instantly, everything stood still, the villagers held their breath, and time seemed to stand still for a moment. Then, only to see that the sun suddenly erupted into a dazzling light, and immediately afterward, it slowly fell from the sky and disappeared below the horizon. At this moment, everyone was shocked. Ho-E had succeeded, he had shot down the first sun. But he knew that this was just the beginning, he still had 9 more suns to shoot down. He didn't stop for a second, he continued to adjust his breathing, and shot one arrow after another, accurately shooting down each sun in the sky. With each sun, the sky darkened and the earth gradually cooled. After continuous efforts, Ho-E eventually shot down 9 suns, leaving only the last one to warm the earth. When the last arrow was fired, he had almost reached the limit of his physical and mental strength. But when he saw the earth gradually coming back to life, and saw the smiles and tears on the faces of the villagers, he knew that all his efforts were worthwhile. When Ho-E succeeded in shooting down 9 suns, bringing long-lost coolness and calmness to the earth, his heroic deeds quickly spread across the earth and touched the heavenly realm. Although Ho-E was not a member of the heavenly realm, his actions directly affected the order of the heavenly realm and challenged the authority of the heavenly emperor. The 10 sons are not only the pride of the heavenly realm, but also the pennies of the heavenly emperor. Ho-Yi's behavior, although well-intentioned, caused great displeasure to the heavenly emperor. The emperor's anger was like the silence before a storm, leaving the whole world in a state of unrest. Finally, the emperor's decree was conveyed to the earth, and he announced that Ho-E would be punished as a sign of maintaining order in the heavenly realm. However, considering Ho-Yi's original intention was to save the people, the heavenly emperor's punishment did not deprive him of his life, but rather took back the immortal bow and divine arrows that gave him his power, and forbade him to enter the heavenly realm, allowing him to remain on earth forever. When this news spread throughout the earth, people's hearts were filled with mixed emotions. They felt injustice for Ho-Yi's fate, and at the same time, they were worried about the loss of the hero who could directly protect them. But in the midst of all these emotions, people's admiration for Ho-E grew even deeper. Ho-E protected the earth with his actions, and even in the face of the emperor's punishment, he felt no remorse. The loss of his bow and arrows did not make Ho-E sink. Instead, he became more determined to stay on earth and continue to help people in his own way. He traveled around, teaching archery skills and sharing his wisdom on how to live in harmony with nature. Ho-Yi's story and his spirit have inspired countless people, and his influence on earth extends even beyond the days when he possessed an immortal bow and arrows. As time passed, Ho-Yi's deeds became legendary and were sung from generation to generation. People remembered his heroic behavior and were inspired by his indomitable spirit in the face of difficulties. Although Ho-E did not return to the heavenly realm, the footprints he left on earth were more profound than any myth, and he became a true hero on earth, living forever in people's hearts.